Okay, here it goes. I'm not sure why no one leads with this across all these Epstein Files revelations and exposés, but let's call it like it is, from the jump. Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli asset that is a filthy Jewish supremacist, aka Zionist scum, with deep ties to the Israeli Mossad and a proud supporter of the Israeli occupation forces, to which every disgusting thing he has done to children is deeply rooted to the practices of the Jewish Talmud, where on Epstein Island it is known and confirmed that he had a temple on the premises used to worship Moloch, which is a disgusting being in the Talmud that was known for practicing child sacrifice. And the child sacrifice Epstein and his goons took part in was to take them to this demonic place to defile and rape them with all his powerful friends. The very basis, the very essence, the very foundation to this vile, perverted, sick fuck is deeply rooted to the practices of the Talmud, which a majority of Israelis follow. This is why we see headlines like this. Israel is the haven for pedophiles. Israel is the haven for sex offenders. Israel is known for human sex trafficking. Israel wants to legalize rape of hostages. Israel is trying to legalize pedophilia. Let me say that again. Israel is trying to legalize pedophilia. Each of these articles, written by predominantly Israeli journalists, sounding the alarm years ago that their filthy demonic ethno-state is pure evil, but cloaked in their protective anti-Semitism accusation threats and their shameful use of the Holocaust to play victims no matter what disgusting, vile, evil thing that they do, inclusive of raping and holocausting the Palestinian people on live stream in real time as we speak. These Jewish supremacist Zios feel untouchable, now with an innate confidence that they know they can simply get away with it because they have been, all with the help of our compromised politicians and Western news media. Case in point, Jeffrey Epstein and the entire ethno-state of Israel getting away with it all until this very day. This is the culture we have created for them. Imagine headlines that say the United States is trying to legalize pedophilia, or Italy wants to legalize rape of their political prisoners. Or better yet, imagine the global outrage if you heard a predominantly Muslim country is trying to legalize pedophilia, rape, and human sex trafficking. But no, Jewish supremacy is just skating by, getting away with all of this, unscathed. As if we're in some fucked up Twilight Zone where we're only exposing these stories for clickbait rather than actively trying to destroy them and eradicate this total impunity they have established for themselves. And this untouchable Jewish protective cloak is precisely why our leaders and our celebrities, whom are sick in their own right, surround themselves with the sickest of them all. The Jewish supremacist Zionists, the ones that have infiltrated every industry of influence, from politics to the news to entertainment to social media and more, in order to ensure their narrative is front and center while they victimize themselves to the entire world through false flags. Bondi Beach. These sickos are openly the leaders of one of the most exploitative and controversial industries, the porn industry. You think it's a coincidence that a filthy Zio owns OnlyFans? You think it's a coincidence that a rabbi owns Pornhub, pushing sex with underage girls and sex with teens as actual categories on their platforms? And then you're surprised by people like Epstein when the majority of that sick society are just Epsteins that never got to the level of power that he got? These fuckers just get away with it all, completely unchecked, while the news media tries to brush it under the rug out of fear or because they themselves are owned by these Zionists. And when you say what I'm saying right now in this video, which is all irrefutable facts, I, as a Semite, will be labeled as an anti-Semite for simply speaking these facts that must be said out loud by everyone. Because like I said, this untouchable, Jewish, anti-Semite slinging protective cloak that tends to have money out the ass to throw at you, to buy your silence and loyalty, is the game they've been playing all along. When people like Tiffany Haddish, Azalea Banks, Van Jones, Emmanuel Acho, and now recently Nicki Minaj's careers were going down the toilet, Jewish supremacy reached out their hands from the sewers where they dwell to buy the undying loyalty and mouths of these black celebrities. And without having anything to do with Israel in the slightest in their past, they are now the token black mouthpieces for the terrorist ethno-state of Israel. Just a handful of black people Israel uses to put on a show to the world that they aren't racist. They chose money and protection from a filthy pedophilic rapist death cult to try and save their careers and thrive. Let's see how far your careers go now. And that's exactly what our sick politicians do. They take the bait because they themselves are sick in the head pedophiles drunk on power, thinking with the protection of Israel and this terrorist Talmudic society, they can quite literally do whatever they please. And then they're either blackmailed into submission for the rest of their lives or continue to be slaves to Jewish supremacy out of their own volition, just like Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Mike Huckabee, and many more. Hence, why in just the past couple days, aside from knowing Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, and many other leaders and celebrities are disgusting pedophiles, we have just read some of the sickest shit known to man in these Epstein files, and this motherfucker still gets to be the leader of the free world and sleep peacefully at night because no one is doing shit. Seriously, what the fuck is going on here? We're just going to let them get away with this? We all know at this point, the FBI, CIA, the DOJ are all in on this cover-up. A majority of Republican Congress members still completely and unabashedly support Trump and Israel, even with all of this horrifically evil shit they are a part of. What the fuck are we doing? We just read that Trump and Epstein were accused of several rapes, as well as conspiracy to commit murder. That a victim Trump raped was found dead with her head blown off, with the police report saying they didn't think it was a suicide. That Trump participated regularly in paying money to rape a 13-year-old child who then got pregnant, and after the baby was born, Donald Trump was present, watching as this girl's uncle murdered the newborn baby and threw the baby in Lake Michigan. And then there's the handwritten letter from Epstein while in the cell, sent to known pedophile Larry Nassar, saying that Trump is also into young children, and how unfortunate it is that Trump gets to be free while they rot in prison. And how convenient that the White House just took over the Department of Justice Twitter account after all this news went viral to try and say the letter is a fake. And the icing on the cake is that Epstein's brother is certain Trump got Epstein killed in prison, as Epstein was about to put Trump's name out to the world. And that's just a couple of the confirmed instances Trump was mentioned, of the over 600 times he was mentioned in the Epstein files. And that's just Donald Trump, as there is now known to be at least 10 other co-conspirators that worked with Epstein, with hundreds of others associated with this rancid cult on that Israeli Mossad payroll. And now Trump knows he's fucked, which is why he's doubling down, diving deeper and deeper into the Jewish supremacist hole that he's dug for himself, publicly being called the first Jewish president in the history of the United States by Zionists, while he basks in it, hiring an Israeli American to head up the fight on anti-Semitism in the United States, as he proudly says that he's going to change our children's textbooks to be more pro-Israel. Trump is prepping himself to run to the haven where the specimens like him can live freely, being their pedophilic selves. He just used his presidency to make as much money off your backs so that he can live comfortably in that Gaza Riviera he is planning to build over the bones of the Palestinians he helped kill. And we're out here telling stories like it's just one man's crazy-ass life that is a living Netflix documentary, when the reality is the very concept of what Jeffrey Epstein is and what he and his filthy goons have and are getting away with is deeply rooted in the Jewish supremacy, aka Zionism, that is quite literally getting away with every single breach of international law we are seeing today, while also getting away with things that are too sick and evil to even be mentioned by international law. We've allowed them to platform themselves and rule over us using false victimhood and calls for anti-Semitism, which has now become the most blatant global example of boy who cried wolf. So what I'm trying to say is that it's time to burn it all down to the ground, starting with that untouchable, Jewish, fake anti-Semitism slinging protective cloak that they've been wearing this whole time. Time to publicly call them out on all their vileness and their immense contribution to the evil in our societies across the globe, all while highlighting that the very foundation of it all is Jewish supremacy, aka Zionism. The Zionism that is a cancer to our planet and must be excised immediately. It's time to call it like it is, put them all on blast, and take them down from their positions of power. This is our moment to either let them get away with it or collectively push them down to the sewers from which they came. Starting now.